Hey guys, what I'm going to do today is just show you a quick fix for something. If you own legacy content, sometimes you'll see this occur. So this is Michael 4 and he's wearing a Beowulf shirt, I believe, and it's part of a suit set. There aren't a million really good suits on Poser, so it's quite nice to have this. Here's the set here. But one of the problems is, as I mentioned, it's legacy content. That means it's old content. Obviously, Michael 4 is old, but for many of us, Michael and Victoria 4 are still very good characters, given that we can't use Genesis in Poser. And we have a lot invested in those characters, especially with historical clothes. There's a lot of historical stuff that never got remade for Lahom or Dawn or Dusk or La Femme or any of that. So we're kind of forced to use older characters to be able to use that clothing. So, for example, I have some sets that are Viking clothing that only fit on Michael 4 or even Michael 3, and unfortunately, Bondware and Smith Micro before them ruined one of the features of the program that would have helped alleviate that. And what I'm talking about is Wardrobe Wizard, which was a program written by Field C and which was incorporated in some versions of Poser. Now, to be honest, Wardrobe Wizard kind of sucked, especially compared to Daz's AutoFit, but it was the start of an idea that was worth having, which was that you could auto fit clothes from older characters onto new characters. And unlike Daz, Poser's rigging of characters kind of has not massively changed to the best of my knowledge, and perhaps our experts here will call me on this, but the rigging of characters, the way that joints work, the name of different body parts has not really significantly changed. Since a while. I mean, and even if they have, if La Femme, for example, has totally different body part names, there's no reason why an auto rig system could not accommodate that. I wouldn't have thought. But anyway, what it did was it enabled you to drag clothes onto other characters and make them fit different characters, male to female, older characters to newer characters, and so on. The trouble was it was cumbersome to use and wasn't very effective. Not even a tiny, tiny scratch on the fantastic system over at Daz. So the end result is that we've got a load of old legacy clothes that we still have to use because on legacy characters because they haven't been replaced. So as I said, this is Michael 4 with Beowulf shirt, and you'll see here this render is kind of does some weird things in the seams here, and it's a bit kind of crusty looking, to be honest. And the reason is that the way the bump map is rigged doesn't work with Superfly. So there's a very, very easy fix for that. See how kind of noisy and grungy that is. So there's a very, very easy fix for that. Two fixes actually. First thing I would do is take the shirt and make sure its skinning method is set to Unimesh. And if that doesn't fix it, which it unlikely will, see that's still rough looking. What we do is you go to the material room. So here's the shirt. Okay, this has got millions of parts, and you'll see that the bump map is wired into gradient bump. That's an old legacy thing for the way things were wired up, oh god, 10, 15 years ago. So we pull that across to there, disconnect it to there. Now we're going to have to mess around with this value here. With the bump, it was just set to 1 was 100%, but we're going to have to figure out what value is right for this bump map. So I suggest you start at a quarter of the current value and see where it leads you, and then go up or down accordingly. That still looks quite bumpy, but we'll go go through and do that with all of the parts and see what it gives us. So 0.2. Don't forget to unwire this, otherwise you'll get doubled. So just click on this and click disconnect. Left click on that. Left click disconnect. Connect that to there. Set that to 2. It's possible that I could have just it's possible actually that I could just grab this whole thing, copy, and then just copy that to all the other parts. Let's do apply to all and see. Now we definitely don't want it on the buttons. What button map did they have? Okay, there are buttons in there as well. Okay, I don't know why it had bump on the buttons, but we'll see when we render. Okay, so the shirt's a lot darker. Okay, so you can see that texture is a lot better behaved now. Still a bit lumpy. I mean, obviously the whole point is he's put a kind of a weave texture, or she, whoever made this, has put a kind of a weave texture, and the seams are really bad. Let me compare that to that. Yeah, I think you'll agree that texture is better behaved. Sometimes what you'll get is a really fuzzy kind of look when there's a gradient bump wired up. It'll just look really, really fuzzy, and you'll see you've got that misbehaving in the seams is now gone. See, this is self-amplifying the light, and that's disappeared now. Now there's one more thing I might do here is take the shirt and increase the subdivision. See, it's kind of angular here, kind of angles in here. So perhaps increase the subdivision level 1 or 2 steps. We'll go 2 as I've got the processor for it. Let's subdivision will dramatically increase your rendering time. Has that really improved it? I don't know. Okay, I think that's enough. It's not going to improve with more rendering time now. So let's compare that to that. So here we've got rid of these little creases. The bicep is a little bit smoother. The shoulder profile, that's often where you see the main division, the main benefits of subdivision is in the profile of the outside against the background. So if you're trying to get that to look smoother, I'll give you an example. If we take a sphere here, so you can see that. Look how rough that. Okay, I'm just going to move that to the side, and then I'm going to use this button, the frame button, so that it frames that ball. It always frames a bit far away. So you can see here, this is quite a low res polygon, and we can check that by changing the view mode to wireframe or hidden line wireframe. Hidden line, there you go, that's better. So hidden line turns it to wireframe, but the wireframe on the back faces it doesn't show, so it's just easier to read. So you can see, look how few polygons there are. One square here, one square here, one square here. So obviously on the vertices, or the connections between the polygons, very, very rough when the polygons are so large. So the easy solution there again is to increase the subdivision, which quadruples the number of polygons, by the way. If you look at, say, this polygon here, you'll see when I increase that double the amount of polygons, sorry, quadruple the amount of polygons. So it can quickly increase the rendering, but with a simple sphere like this, it's not really going to bother you. It's not going to matter. But if you've got an object that's already got 10,000, 100,000 polygons, then it quickly gets out of control. And then when I render that, you'll see that that renders nice and smooth, instead of kind of how it was before. Was a bit like, if you recall games from the early 2000s, they were very, 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 very polygonal to keep the render speed up, like early Halo and stuff like that. The sprites and not sprites, but the characters were very low polygon, and then they tried to achieve the impression of smoothness by clever texturing and lighting. They basically baked in shadows and stuff that made the polygon vertices look smooth. It's quite clever actually. But you see here, there's no trickery needed. I've just increased the subdivision and now I've made that smooth. And that applies to clothes, that applies to characters, that applies to things in your, buildings, trees, whatever you want to increase. You just need to be mindful of the polygon budget in your scene because you don't want things to slow to a complete crawl. Anyway, guys, hopefully that gives you an idea. I will speak to you again soon.